Hi friends, in this video I'm going to talk about Spring REST APIs. So let me explain what is exactly REST API. Then I have written a small Spring application where I can demo how exactly you can develop REST APIs, okay, using the Postman. Postman is nothing but a REST client. First of all, what is REST API? It is an architectural style called as represent, representational state transfer that advocates web applications should use HTTP. So before REST API, there was SOAP XML. So it was a protocol where two applications can communicate, whereas the client and where the client and the server can communicate. Earlier, earlier SOAP, Corba, COM was used, and recently REST is becoming famous because it is using HTTP, which is very lightweight and very simple to use. Let me show you a picture. So if you see here, a client wants to talk to a server, for example, a booking application or anything. So a client wants to talk to a server. Earlier it was used, earlier we were using SOAP XML, but now we started using REST because it's very lightweight and very simple to use. So whenever a client makes a request, say for example, he wants to create a bank account or he want to make a transfer. So the client sends a JSON request and it passes through the internet and it reaches the REST server. REST server does the business logic like connecting with payment or connecting with the database, persisting your object and sends an appropriate JSON response. So communication happen using JSON request and JSON response. So it uses the basic HTTP protocol and it also uses verbs like post, get, put, and delete. For example, if you want to create an employee, you can use post. Okay. Then if you want to retrieve an employee, you can use get HTTP verb. If you want to update an employee, you can use put. If you want to delete an employee, you can use the existing HTTP verb which is delete. So this is the basic architecture in REST. Let's move on to the next point that I have is, for example, if you see here the URI, okay, if you want to retrieve an employee object, you have to specifically give this URI. Okay, if you want to post, that means if you want to create an employee, you have to give a JSON object as request body. And if you want to update, again the same URI with the attributes that you want to update with the put verb. Okay, then if you want to delete an employee, you can use delete verb and the ID is must, and even for the put, which employee you want to update. One of the main thing in REST is every resource is identified by a unique identifier. So for example, I have books, user, employee. So each resource has its own uniquely identifiable URI. And one more point there, they insist is stateless. So every request happens in complete isolation. It's easier to cache and load balance. For example, nowadays people are started deploying their applications in cloud. So that means we are not sure which which server will be handling my next request. So session, if you're using session, we can't handle it. That's why people are moving towards stateless, which is like very easy to utilize the cloud infrastructure and load balance. Okay, so this is what they mainly insist. REST, if you want to use REST API, these are the points they mainly insist. So now let's move on to the sample demo application, Spring REST application. Okay, so before going to the code, I want to show you a very simple picture which explains like what exactly I've done in the Spring REST demo application. So I have written a very simple Java application which uses Spring Boot framework, and I've written few classes. The main classes are employee controller and employee service. And this employee controller exposes four main endpoints. You can delete an employee, you can get employees, you can create an employee, and you can update an employee. Okay, so these are the main four endpoints this sample application exposes. So whenever using postman or curl command, whenever you hit this endpoint, this employee controller will receive the request, and it's going to validate your request body or parameters that you're passing. It will validate, and once the validation is done properly, it's going to send the DTO, the data transfer object, to the employee service. An employee service is responsible for the main business logic. That means when you want to create an employee, it's going to add it to the list. I'm not using in database because I want to make it very simple. I'm just using an in-memory list. Okay, so it will be added to the list, and when you want to delete, it will be removed. When you want to update, this employee service will update the employee attributes. This is basic design for the sample demo application. So now let's move on to the code. Okay, already my server is running. I want to show you the employee controller and the service layer and the DTO as well. And I want to show you the postman also. So I have created a collection. So there are four endpoints that just now I explained you: get, post, delete, and put. So if you see get, I'm using this HTTP verb get, and this is my URI. Okay, for post, this is the verb, and this is the URI. I want to create an employee. Okay, and this is my new employee that I want to create. And delete, I have to give the ID. So delete is a verb, and URI plus ID, which employee I want to delete. I have to give the ID. Okay, then if I want to update, what is the employee ID that I want to update? So this is the attribute. These are the attributes that I want to update for the employee ID 4. Okay, so these are the four endpoints as I explained you in this picture. These are the four endpoints that I explained you in the picture. I have also have it in the postman. Okay, let's move on to the code. I'll explain you the code. As I said, I have controller, then model class, service, and util class. So main important class is employee controller. Here I have marked this controller as REST controller. Why REST controller? Because whenever I mark a class as REST controller, by default the request and the response will be handled in JSON. So whenever I return something, it will be converted into a JSON, because we are talking about REST APIs, right? So it is already handled by Spring by default. Okay, so whenever I do a get, in this method, so get list all employees, it makes a call to the employee service. If you see find all employees, so employees is nothing but list of dummy object that I've created here. Okay, so it's just a array list. As I already explained you that it's an in-memory, not a database. It's an in-memory list which is holding these employee values. When I say find all employees, it's going to read from this list and return it. That's it. Then let's do that actually. So whenever go to this get and click on this, you can see it returns. These lists are retrieved from the Spring Boot application server. Okay, so we did the get, then let's do a create. But before creating, I want to show you the code as well. So here you can see an employee DTO. You can see here it's a very simple POJO, ID, name, age, salary. So why do we need that? Because whenever you post an object, okay, so these attributes are mapped automatically to this DTO. Okay, so here we will be capturing the value, and if it does not exist, then I'll save the employee. So whenever you make a post, it comes here. We got all those attributes, new employee information, then we call save. Let's see what happens in save. So we are adding to the array list. That's all. A very simple step to do. Then we return that it has been created. Okay, so let's hit that. So initially we had 4 employees. Now I'm going to post this. I'm going to create this new employee whose name is Johnson. So let's see what happens. It says 201 created. Okay, so let's go to the get operation and do a get again. You will be getting the 5th employee. Okay, so we got the new employee Johnson. Now I want to show you the put operation. So if you see here put, so we have to find out the existing employee and set the updated modifying attributes. If you want to, actually I want to update the salary. Okay, so if you see here, I'm going to put here, I want to update his salary. He got some hike, so I'm going to update his salary. Okay, so it will come here, it'll be received here, and we will be capturing the attributes here. Then we are finding out the exact employee using the ID, because we are passing the ID here. Okay, so using this ID, I'll be fetching the employee, then I set the new attributes, then I update employee. Let's see the method how update employee looks like. So I'm updating the array list for that particular employee. Okay, so let's do that. So first of all, I want to put, so it's been done 200. So we have to see for Todd it is 60,000. So for Todd it is 60,000. Okay, so it has been updated. Let's delete the employee. So what happens whenever I delete? I want to show that as well. So whenever you delete, I only need the ID, that's all. So I'll be finding out the employee using the ID. Then I'll call delete employee by ID in the service layer. So I iterate through the list and find out the employee that I want to delete. Then I remove from the list. That's what I'm doing here. Okay. So I need the ID, look up for the employee, then pass the employee object. Okay, if the check whether the employee exists or not. If it exists, then call this method using the ID, then iterate it, remove from the array list. That's all. So let's try to delete it. So I'm going to hit the delete URI. I want to delete Johnson. It says 204. So we have to go here. You can see 5 employees are there, but when I do a get again, you can see only 4, because Johnson has been deleted by the previous endpoint. So here I want to show you, like, we did all these operations like get, put, post and delete. So this is how it works. I'm done with my basic demo with my application that I've written. So I'll be sharing you the GitHub. So whatever I code that I showed you, I'll be sharing you the link in the GitHub link in the description section. Uh, if you have any comments, please let me know your comments. Please, if you really like this video, please click the like button. If you want to share with your friends, please click on the share button. And last but not the least, thank you so much for your time. All the best for your career. Thank you.